Hello everyone and welcome back to another devlog for the development of my Liege, the indie game I've been working on as Addisonville slash Sugoi Penguin Gaming. And it's been a minute. I don't actually recall when the last devlog was done, but it is high time to give an update. Really, we're just going to cover two things. We're going to give an updated schedule because it has changed. And we're going to talk a little bit about why it's changed and what I've accomplished in the meantime. We'll just dive right into it. I'm not going to really belabor the point. What is my current schedule? Because I know throughout this process, at first I was thinking like April or May 2024. Well, that was half a year ago. Clearly I did not hit that. And then I was thinking, okay, well, with Steam Next Fest in June, maybe late August or late September was a good goal. Did not hit that either. And so now my current goal is to hopefully have development done by end of this calendar year. So end of December, with a release sometime in January. With a built-in cushion there because there's some tasks related to release that need to be done that I don't want to rush. Things like update the store page and stuff like that, but I need to make sure I budget time for it. So why the changes? Why has this become kind of this never-ending moving target for myself? Well, one is the scope of the game has changed significantly from when I started this endeavor. When I first started, I was like, okay, I'm just going to make like a little prototype, see what people think of it. I'll make a demo, and then that'll be it. Like, demo level quality was going to be the end point. So that's what, thinking March or April of 2024 was. But I got such good feedback from people, and I was I was enjoying the process enough that I was like, okay, let's build an actual game. And so that's where Next Fest came in June. And the goal of like August or September. And that wasn't met for, I'm going to say 3 reasons. One was I got a little sidetracked during the summer with some, kind of personal life things, kind of pursuing different trips and stuff like that. So my summer just got busier than I expected. On another angle, the game, I really tried hard to project manage by myself, but I kept adding a couple more things that sounded cool and that I really wanted to be in the game because I was getting a clearer picture in my head of what I envisioned the game being and not getting closer to what I envisioned it being felt like a waste. I was putting all this effort in. I should get as close as I can reasonably get to my vision of where I wanted the game to end up at. And then 3, and this is the biggest one, is holy cow, writing narrative and dialogue in a story was way more work than I expected. Wow. Writers, huge respects to you, mad props. You guys are amazing because I struggled a lot with it. I thought I'd be able to crank out story and mechanics for a level or a scenario or an act in about a month. Instead, what was happening was I was writing the story only in about a month and a half with no mechanics attached or anything. And so there was a lot of writer's block, a lot of creative struggles, and just a lot of like, how do I make this sound good? And so I realized that the game development stuff was going well and going on schedule and all that, but the building of the story was not. And that was tough. That was a big change for me, was to admit that this is a lot more work. So I scaled down the scope of the story. I wanted originally 7 acts. I had a couple side stories planned, and that's not maintainable. So I trimmed it down to the story elements I really wanted to include, the things that I felt were strong, whether they were things I was borrowing from other stories that were just super impactful to me, or things that I thought could help bring some amount of creativity or uniqueness to my Liege. Now, of course, nothing. Every story at this point's already been told, so I'm not expecting a groundbreaking new story that you've never heard before. But between those things, I've now got it to a manageable place, but it's still been a lot of work learning a good process. And so writing has really slowed it down of like, I'm not even going to say slowed it down. I severely underestimated how much work it would be. However, here we are. So my new goal, like I said, end of December. How am I going to get there? So first off, story has to be finished writing by end of October. And actually, I'm on pace, I think, to be a week ahead of that. So maybe by end of next week, I'll have story first. Which the first draft's been a pretty good draft so far. I haven't made a lot of wide editing changes, a lot of tweaking as I play test the game. So get that done, because once that's done, that's a huge mental, creative weight off my shoulders, and I will feel so much better about where the game's at. And then all the rest of the time is implementing the mechanics and visuals of the game. So, for example, I've got my game just kind of running here on a cute little forester's hut kind of situation. So the world is looking pretty good if you're just hanging out by your town. But the visuals need work. Like, this area is pretty barren because there's a lot of, almost every inch of it is dedicated to some optional buildings or new constructions that would show up at some point in the game. So I'm not gonna fill this in too much more, but things like I've got this town for House Carlbridge about 80% done and need to like plant their fields and stuff like that. So this is getting close. I have the capital about 2/5 done. I need to add more buildings and then add some trees or add something else to kind of break it up a little bit. But then I've got 2 more houses where like this is where House Marquet will be in the future. And I have where House Stock will be in the future. And I've got where the fortifications, the gates of the valley, the entrance that they guard will be. And all of those, I'm getting much quicker at setting all that up. I have the assets. I'm making fewer and fewer 3D models. So that process is going pretty smooth. So, work like that, but also like with the dialogue, what I've been writing doesn't have like, okay, when you make this choice, impact these assignments or impact these stats. Make X happen. So there's a lot of that kind of running around, plugging in, and a ton of play testing by myself and a couple of friends to really iron that out. So I think, though, once I get the creative blocks out of the way, that stuff should happen a lot easier. I feel much more confident that stuff is that's what I get real passionate about, what I get wrapped up in as I'm working on. So I think it's maintainable. Absolutely do not want to go into spring of next year, though. There's no real reason other than I'm kind of hoping that I'll know what the next chapter of my life will look like. Like, is it going to be another game? Is it going to be a grown-up job? Is it going to, what is that going to look like? So I really would like my Liege to be bundled up and finished by then. I don't foresee this being a never-ending passion project. I see myself tinkering and supporting it once it's released, but not in full development mode. Great, so that is schedule. Only took 9 minutes to talk about. I'm going to show off a couple of visual things that have been added in. At this point in the process, I'm pretty much done adding new features. There is one feature that's going to get refactored, and I will make a shout out to a future video where I rework that as an under construction. But the major features are pretty much in place. So if I go into the game, I'm actually going to stop it, and we're gonna start at the main menu. So one thing I did was I reworked how some of the scenes are handled with the goal of being able to do more in transition. And so what I'll show you what I mean by that is I now have a better kind of loading transition and space to make for a spot where I can insert some narration to help guide you from one scene to the next. So this is what the new main menu kind of looks like. We start off with curtains opening because I want this to feel like a play is taking place in front of you. So, there's curtain draws when you're transitioning scenes, and that space for narration would be in between there. So, like, I draw curtains, I open it, and I intend to have kind of like a intermission type setting where maybe it's just a single stage that's showing off some stuff. Things like that. I have a little bug in place now, so I'm actually gonna reload scene 0 from scratch, not from the main menu, to show this next part. So that was a fair amount of change for me, because I had to change a fair amount of like the architecture of like how I'm actually running multiple Unity scenes at the same time and an additive mode, which is actually very powerful. Games use that all the time to manage loading smoother, but for me it was more just to make sure that there's no like flickering of lights in other little graphical goofiness. One thing you might also be noticing is if you look at the farmers and the guards out in the fields right now, they have a splash of color on them. And so what I did is I updated to make sure that the choice of color that you make for your house and the sigil you choose for your house actually matter now. So by default, House Storm, the default house that you play as, their colors are light blue, and they use the castle sigil. So that's what you're seeing on people. And if I go ahead to the first scene here, oh, I forgot. Well, I was working on something this morning, and so everybody has shields right now. But you can see like, shields with the. Okay, so I definitely caught myself here. You're supposed to have, oh yeah, no, something's broken. Oh no, this is bad. This is embarrassing. Is it broken through here too? No, I can show it through here. Excellent. So like, if in your left hand you're holding the shield, you see it's a blue shield with the black lightning bolt on it. And I can also come over here and see that every house has their colors, and you can see I accidentally have everyone showing the shield with the castle. Whoopsies. We can fix that pretty easily, actually. I was testing I was doing some animation work, so I wanted them holding something, but like they should not be holding these. There we go. Every meeple does not need a shield and a mace. A lot of them might disagree, because maybe their life dream has been to have a shield and a mace, but there we go. This is looking more appropriate. So if we go out here to see these guys now. Whoop. There we go. We can kind of... I'm trying to get the camera a little closer to the ground. There we go. So you can see... everyone's got banners now that I can place in the world. So let's say you don't like the blue lightning bolt. You can come into your house. You can edit it. Maybe I'm more of a brown with a nice beige deer head. there we go. At first, I wasn't sure how good that combination would be, but it looks pretty sharp. I like it. Like, and so you can change those, and you can change that on everyone else. And then if we go over to our farmers, you'll see that their hats also have, instead of a blue band around them, a beige band. So the goal will be to, at a glance, be able to tell which house a meeple is sworn to by some subtle detail on their character. Other than that, there's been a fair amount of changes on the back end. A big one was reimagining how I manage other houses' meeples. Finally got over that hurdle. That was a bit of a mess, because originally every meeple was just assumed to be the player's meeple, and so I had to change some of the assumptions in my code there. And a lot of that refactoring was because I changed my mind early on about what the game was going to look like. I thought it was going to be more of a sandbox, but now it's not. It's a strict RPG, and I know exactly which house every meeple is going to belong to, stuff like that. So some design choices I made early on proved to be not so great, but so there was a fair amount of cleanup there. But we got it to the point where now I feel almost every aspect of the game can be implemented. I have all the tools in front of me. There is going to be one fairly substantial change to the gameplay that I'm excited to do, and this is what the under construction video will cover, where I just kind of do development, and you can hang out, you can skip along to like certain parts of the video if you want. I'm going to change how the inventory works, or the stats in the inventory works. So early on, I thought I wanted this crunchiness of like keeping track of specific numbers, but it's not serving the main point anymore, which is telling a story and having that story kind of play out in front of you on this stage. And I don't give the player the tools for it to be a min-maxy number crunchy type of game. And there's no context either. Like, when I say you have 50 food, are you about to starve? Are you filthy rich with food? There's no context. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to track golden food. It's still going to matter. It's still going to impact what decisions you can make. Like, can you throw a feast? I don't know. Do you have enough food? I want to buy this. Do you have enough gold? That's still going to matter. But what I'm going to change it to is a less number-driven thing and more of a symbols-driven thing. What I mean by that is my current envisionment is I'm just going to have here, instead of 100 gold, I'm going to have like 100 gold bars. Like little icons. And then, let's say you're fairly wealthy but not filthy rich. You might have 3 out of 5 gold bars filled in then. And then let's say you make a change to hire a bunch of new guards. Well, now you're going to have less. So maybe over the next 2 turns, you're going to go from 3 gold bars to 2 gold bars. And so that gives you both context of like, am I 5 out of 5 rich? Like the most wealthy person you can imagine? Or am I destitute? 0 out of 5. So it gives you some context there. I think it takes away some of the unnecessary number crunchiness. And it visually represents what's going on a little easier, I think. I like that representation at a glance, and so that's something I'm going to be changing. But after that, it's pretty much just run around, make it whatever assets are still missing for like the visual 3D models, and plug everything in. And I'm super excited to get back to that. Writing has been a trial. However, that's all I really have to say, so I'm going to wrap this up. Holy cow, we might be under 20 minutes if I wrap up this. So thank you very much. I look forward to hearing from y'all, and I look forward to having something much more meaningful to show with the next devlog. Like an updated progress, all that stuff. So thank you. You guys are awesome. I'll talk to you later.